Professor, you probably heard the warning from the Health Commissioner of the European Union just in the last few minutes, warning against all non-essential travel to the United States. Given the fact that we've had 20 mild cases in this country, is that a prudent warning?
You know, it's very important that people look at travel in a situation where there's an outbreak taking place. We've posted recommendations regarding travel to Mexico and notified people about an outbreak taking place there, and we'll continue to look at those. You know, it would be my recommendation to a family member, if they had non-essential travel to Mexico, that they really reconsider that at this time.
Right, but the Health Commissioner is warning against travel. The EU Health Commissioner warning against travel to the United States. That could have a huge economic impact. Is that the right warning to send at this time?
I don't think that's warranted. At this point, we've identified 20 cases of swine influenza in this country. Thankfully, all of those people have recovered. Only one of those people has required hospitalization. We are looking very hard for cases of swine flu. I expect we're going to find some, and we'll find some of increasing severity and more of the mild cases. At this point, I would not put a travel restriction or a recommendation against coming to the United States.
So when we look at the history of these outbreaks, epidemics, or pandemics, you know, a couple of reference points in history come to mind. 1976, where it created a small cluster, created a huge concern and prompted a nationwide vaccination program. And then there was 1918, where you had 20 million people die worldwide. Is there any indication whether this is going to be 1976 or whether it might be 1918?
You know, that's a great question. Every outbreak of disease is unique. And as it progresses, we learn more. One of the critical questions is, why are we seeing such a different spectrum here in the United States than what they're experiencing in Mexico? We're in Mexico as part of a trinational team. We have scientists on the ground who are working with the Mexican government and the Canadian government to try and answer that specific question.
And what is the United States doing to protect, prepare at least, for the potential of an epidemic in this country?
You know, we've been planning for years for the potential of a pandemic, focusing on avian influenza. And that has left us much better prepared than we would have been a decade ago. There are things that have been taking place at the state and local level, but it's very important. Some of the points that were made earlier about personal preparedness, what you can do with simple hand washing or use of alcohol hand gels, that can greatly reduce the likelihood that you will get sick.
Now, we talk about preparedness in terms of potential treatments, and our Dr. Sanjay Gupta, who you know well, has been on this morning talking about Tamiflu and Relenza and the fact that those don't actually cure, they don't actually kill the virus, but they do shorten the duration of disease. But I've read some recent literature that suggests that Tamiflu, or at least strains of even the normal winter flu, have become resistant against Tamiflu. So just how effective are our antivirals, the ones that are now being put out there in the system to potentially combat any epidemic in this country?
That's an important question. We did see during this seasonal flu season strains that were resistant to oseltamivir or Tamiflu. This strain of swine flu is susceptible. It can be treated with oseltamivir or zanamivir, and we will continue to monitor those strains and let people know if there's any change in that. But for now, early treatment with those drugs is effective, or we would expect it to be effective. We'll do studies to make sure that what we're saying about effectiveness is correct.